Yeah, thanks for jumping in. We've got a great one for you today with RedX, hidden opportunities inside the NAR settlement. Obviously, a lot of people I think are adjusting now. We're seeing that it wasn't as big as they thought. Now we are seeing also a compression on the commission side, on the buyer side in some areas. And we're also seeing some changes depending on what market you're in, right? It's a country of three markets, I think. One, high inventory and rising, right?
Yep.
Two, very low inventory and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And then right in the middle, it's like,
Yep.
you know what? It's a normal, average,
Yeah.
decent market. That's what we're seeing. So Curtis, where are the opportunities here according to what you've seen? You run a
Yeah.
massive company. What is it? What are the opportunities that we should focus on?
Well, I want to talk today about very specific one very good hidden opportunity in all of this, and it's around the one thing that didn't get touched. It's it's
What's
it's
that?
around the one it's around the one thing that the NAR settlement didn't change anything around, and it's open houses.
Oh, okay, okay, very good.
Yeah, and so what we're seeing, and us, for people who don't know RedX, we do a lot of big data, and uh, we have data scientists. We're just kind of data nerds, and we like to look at things. And AI has made that so much easier for somebody like me who's not an engineer to really look at data. And so, you can copy. Here's an AI trick. You can copy an entire Reddit thread and stick it in chat gpt and then ask it questions about the sentiment or what people are thinking or what they're overall talking. So we've done that a lot. We pulled from both consumers and real estate agent threads, both on Facebook and Reddit, and we've kind of looked at some of this. And there's a lot of talk both on the consumer side. Still, most people have no idea what the NAR settlement was, and if they've heard anything, they've heard, oh, isn't there something about commissions changing? And that's about all they know. But there is the savvy consumer, and that's going to change over time also as people come up. The savvy consumer that's going to understand a little bit more, and so the consumers are starting to catch on about buyer's agency agreements, and all of the scripts and everything are designed around how to make somebody feel comfortable signing a buyer's agency agreement. But there's a large amount of people that aren't comfortable signing one of those. It feels like too big of a commitment without enough rapport. It's like getting married before you date. Like I want to
True.
get to know you. I want to hang out with you. I want to know who you are. I want to know that I can do business with you. And so there's 20 things we could talk about that specifically, but with open houses is a home owner, or I mean, somebody searching for a home can go to an open house and tour a property without a buyer's agency agreement, and they know that. So I can
Yep.
go to an open house and I can look at a home, and so there's this opportunity of holding opens because there's an increasing number of people who are going to be looking for open houses because that's how they want to go view properties without an agent, without having a
Yeah.
buyer's agency agreement. Um,
Yep.
and there's this opportunity then that there's no restriction if you are there at the open house to now get to know and build rapport with the people who are searching a home. And
Okay.
so, that's it. We could dive into it, but there's we've seen the pendulum right at the beginning. People were like freaking out. Oh, I can't work buyers anymore. How do I work my listing business? And we were going, well, that was easy for most of our clients because we mostly do listing leads. But now we're looking at it and we're seeing some top producing agents or teams that are using our ability to market online or target a neighborhood inside of RedX to very
Mhm.
specifically market open houses. And the reason is the strategy now. I'm just going to give it all away right up at the beginning. Then
Do
if
it.
this is a 10-minute podcast and we're done.
Hey,
Um,
wait, I've got something to add too after, so don't worry.
Okay,
Go
okay.
ahead.
So you do these open houses, and what you're doing is, as long as you're doing it correctly, you're gathering names, you have a check-in, right? You and not a dumb piece of paper, but maybe use some technology where you're getting people, you're putting them in, you're getting to know them, you're writing down some notes. And you're building a database of people who are searching for properties. And now all of a sudden, the next time you hold an open of a similar property in a similar, in a similar location, you now have a database of people to market that next open house to. And you don't need they met you, they know you don't have to have a buyer's agency agreement, but you're saying if you hold an open and you do really good job, maybe you get 30 to 50 people to come through your property. And I think that's really low. We could talk about strategies to increase the number of people that are coming to your opens. But if you have 30 people, let's even be conservative and say half of those people are now not really interested. They're just nosy neighbors. No big deal. But I have 15 people who are buying. So if I'm holding another open house, I have 15 people to now invite to the next one. Hey,
That's true.
I see you didn't do anything. I never heard from you after that. Or, when I followed up with you, that wasn't the right house. I'm holding an open house next weekend at this property. Can I count on you being there? Right. And now look, I do 10 of those. I have 150 potential buyers in now my database, and I'm holding opens and I'm inviting them. They're coming. Well, it doesn't take very long if you build rapport with somebody the first time and they know you and like you and trust you. How different is the buyer's agency agreement when they call up and say, actually, I found another property, Tristan, that I want to go look at. You go, no problem. Now I have this easy conversation about a buyer's agency agreement.
It is much easier, especially after they keep seeing you. You keep on inviting into all these different things.
Yeah.
So how would you recommend that we, number one, capture their information at the beginning, right? Because it depends on the state, right? We've got to have them either sign in so they could see the property and then not use the agent, or have them sign some type of a agreement. If we're not the agent, that's the listing agent on this, we have to have them sign some agreement saying, hey, you want me to explain to you everything about this home and talk to you about real estate, right? What's the route
When you
that we
say
go with this?
depending on the state, you mean California is way harder to do any sort of business in and has way
New
more.
York.
Is that what you're saying?
New York, California,
Right.
and a few other states.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, I think there's quite a few softwares out there. I just wouldn't use a piece of paper, and the reason is the likelihood of you as an agent, and maybe I'll offend some people here, doing anything with that piece of paper is so low that you need to use technology for efficiency. Open House Direct is a software I like.
I like that one.
And they have a really cool check-in process and database management, and they have a really cool. And by the way, we're not affiliated with them in any way right now. We've been in talks because they like how we promote open houses, and I like how they do it. But there's other good softwares, but you need a guest check-in, and you need to be able to get in there. I do know that some of the CRMs out there have different sorts of solutions out there that you can use as check-ins. Even if it doesn't specifically have a check-in for an open, again, depending on what state you're in, you could even utilize the landing page features in a lot of the CRMs to create kind of your own little check-in and have an iPad. And of course, that also requires that you or someone that you're running the open house would be at the front door and checking people in and allowing you to really get to know and build rapport with people.
I like that, man. And look, if they're just checking in and you're not saying anything, you can still retarget them. It's easy.
That's right.
Right? They don't have to sign. If they don't want to sign anything, but they want to check in, great. I'm still going to retarget you.
Yeah. We're seeing the most successful open houses that are being run, probably operating a little stricter. They're, if you don't check in, you don't come in. Some people aren't that aggressive. Some people want to operate more like a golden retriever than a pit bull, I guess. But
yeah, it depends too. Like if the seller says, "Look, listen, we're not going to let anybody in unless we know who it is," right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then it makes it a lot easier for those people that function as a golden retriever. Like, got it, now I have permission, right?
Right.
It makes sense. I like that.
Right. And that is something Open House Direct, and sorry for the sales pitch, it's not even my software. But they automatically integrate into the tech that will verify the phone number that they give you to make sure it is who they say they are, right? So, kind of a forewarn type built-in system for when people check into your check-in. Yeah.
Which
So yeah, use the software, check them in, and then again, like any sort of lead gen activity, then your key is follow-up, right? Did you follow up with them? Are you reaching out to them? Are you taking notes on them to understand who they are and what they're really looking for, right? So, because depending on what state you're in, there's some states where you can't hold an open house for somebody outside of your brokerage, but some places do allow that. You just be running open houses to build a huge database of people. I know an agent who has a database of 500 people who have checked into her open houses. Now, every time she runs an open house, because she also has a criteria. I only run an open house in this price range, this type of home. And so her database of 500 people are people that would be interested in every open house that she runs.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot, man. That would be amazing. I love that. A couple of notes. Uh, MJ, thanks for bringing up Lofty. Also has that built in for open houses on capturing. Yes. I know somebody brought it up in the Facebook group. There in according to NAR, we have to make a distinction if you belong to NAR, a distinction that you are the buyer's that you are a buyer's agent versus the listing agent if you are not the listing agent, right?
Yep.
I think Curtis was referring to you as the listing agent holding the open house. It's so much easier, right? You don't have to disclose that because you're the listing agent.
Right.
So good one. Rodney says, yeah, it says can't do it. Tennessee, no problem. If they're signing in, though, they could just sign in and then you can retarget. And then Don says, the foundation of my business was built on open houses. Don, how are you? Nice to see you. Yeah, same with us. One of my first transactions ever was from an open house, and I love doing open houses. And then, is it Anik? Did I get that right? Tell me if I got that right. Or Anike Brown. What tips would you recommend when it comes to tag teaming with a lender to host an open house? What do you think, Curtis?
I think it's not just a tip. I think that's necessary. You should have that there. I mean, and if anybody's wondering how you do the introduction to that, this is just again about pre-qualifying your leads and pre-qualifying people that are there. Is hey, if someone could save you $20,000 on your mortgage, would you be interested in talking to the lender? Great, let me introduce you over here. It also helps if you market the open house right, then you're going to have people there, and if that's really hard for you to build rapport. And so if you tag team it with somebody else that's also using the guest check-in and gathering information, getting names, then you kind of have this shared list of database that you can then continue to market to afterwards. So if you're looking for tips on how to partner up with them, that's not hard. Lenders want leads, especially right now.
That's very true. I think, listen, depending on if you're a golden retriever or a pit bull, right? I think you may even want to put the lender, if you're a golden retriever, at the front and be like, listen, because you can be a pit bull with your lender, but you can be a golden retriever with your clients. Be like, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, you're going to be in charge of telling the possible buyer seller who comes through how this all works. And you're going to get the document signed that you need to, if we need to, right? And this way it takes it off of you too. You're not the bad guy. And then you could always point and be like, yeah, lender's crazy, man. And then just be like, but I'm here to help you. So Curtis, I would totally throw my lender under the bus like that as tag teaming.
Yeah. Well,
and
Anik is asking, do you suggest to do both separate sign-ins? No, I mean, you should be working together to create a really cool experience for people to come in, because again, it's not just like for years, people looked at open houses as just a lead gen strategy. And you've got to it's not just lead gen, it's a relationship strategy, right? Again, a buyer's agency agreement that is good enough to work, right? That's not some silly one time, you can get out of it anytime. Is it, you know, let's sign a prenup that's really easy for us to break up. That you could do that. And there's a lot of scripts and a lot of coaching out there right now to teach people how to be really soft about what is going on. But, you know, there's also a lot of people who are looking at the new rules and going, I've been doing this for years, because why would I waste my time without some sort of agreement that says I'm going to get paid? And
Mhm.
and so that you want to have a relationship with someone. And so it's not just about generating a lead, it's about creating relationships. And so the experience that they have throughout the entire open house, from the moment they get the marketing for that to the follow-up afterwards, is an experience that they're having with your brand. And you have to determine what your brand promise is going to be. And as soon as you have two people checking in, maybe a third, maybe you have a home warranty person there too, and everybody's like these piranhas trying to generate their lead, that's a bad experience. And you had you get one shot with them, but they're not coming to your next open house because
Yeah,
everybody's
very
trying
true.
to, yeah.
Very true.
So
Very true.
last
On
night I was shopping. It was my daughter's birthday, and we were shopping, and she wanted makeup. I don't know anything about makeup, but I'm with my wife. We went into two different stores, two different makeup stores. Um, One of them seemed very high end, and it was like, you know, they were very kind. Do you need any help? What are you in for? Like this. But the other one was like they made commission. They had to have, because they were like vultures surrounding us. And every time we'd stop in an aisle, it was like you'd see two of them coming at us, and they'd like make eye contact. One of them would come. It was like it was terrible. We walked out really quick because it was like piranhas trying to sell us something, and you don't want people to have that experience at an open house.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yes, it's the feeling that you're leaving them with or introducing them to this with,
Right.
right? So one of the things that's worked well with us just over the last few weeks is we let them know up front, listen, this is how it works now. And unfortunately, if you do want to see the house with me, you just have to sign something that you're going to see the home with me. And they're like, how does that work? So what we did is, and you know how I always love to share my screen, Curtis, when I talk to you.
Take it away.
Okay, we created this simple thing. I'll give it all out to you. It's one page. There it is. Simple. And we are giving this out not just at open houses, but anytime we're calling people, whether they're uh, expires for sale by owners, anything, right? We're saying we're trying to give them something of value. And this has been so good to give out because it breaks down the new compensation structure right here. And anybody that's coming through an open house, they're going to want to know most of the time, like you said, Curtis, they think it has to do with commissions somehow. They don't not sure, but this breaks it down so easily. And they're like, "Oh, thanks. Yeah, we were wondering. That's what we're getting. We were wondering what that was. So let me grab this and share it with all of you right there, and I'll dump it into the chat. You can then recreate it on your own or print out the
So
exact whatever you want.
I want to clarify that people are not confused at what we're saying is the opportunity here. Open houses have always been a great opportunity. The opportunity is not because of buyer's agency agreement. What I'm saying is we are seeing groups of consumers talking about going to open houses as a way to tour homes without having to sign one. Whether you believe me
Mm.
or not, just go on to Reddit, go onto your local forums and see what some people are talking about. So the opportunity now is that if more people are considering attending open houses, that's where the opportunity lies. There's always been tremendous opportunity in open houses, and more so now because of the way technology can help you to do this. I mean, which is what I really want to get into is tips of like, how would you go and run an open house to make it worth your time and effort so that you can start to build the right database. So one, you could get your listing sold if you're a listing agent. Two, you could build a database of buyers if you're a buyer's agent. And or if you're on a team, how you should have, you know, Maybe you even have an open agent that just runs open houses on your listings to build a database for the betterment of the entire team, right? Like a lot of people have had ISAs, inside sales agents, doing prospecting for their teams. And what I'm saying is there's this opportunity in open houses to build massive amounts of rapport in the community, because more and more people are starting to go. In most markets, and this is fairly easy, depending on your MLS, just go look at how many active listings there are and go look at how many opens there are this weekend, right? Less than 10% of the listings are going to have an open. And if people are starting to go to open houses, there's a big opportunity for you to be able to market those open houses, to be able to build that database. So I want to talk for a minute about how you do that. And in part, step one is just choosing the house that you're going to do an open for. Obviously, it's your listing. You got to do the listing if it's in your brokerage. And again, we won't get into the few states that maybe have more limitations on this. There's actually more misunderstood about open houses than understood, even in those states, is my feeling in talking to a lot of agents.
Yep.
But really, the thing is you have to pick the right property of that you're going to stick in, because again, that's part of your brand promise. So opens is a great way to start to change your brand and reputation into a new geographic location or into a new price range. Like if you sell an average home for X, you should start holding open houses with agents that are in a higher price range home. It's a great way to start to build a database and build that reputation around your expertise in a higher price point. But you pick the property, and then the challenge is getting people there. And I've been to many seminars and trainings where a lot of them, people, the key is 50, go put up 50 open house signs. Who cares if the cities take them down? Like that is the way that you fill your open houses.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that. You put up 50 signs for open houses?
I hate putting up open house signs, but they're necessary. They're
Yeah.
very necessary. And so what I do is I hire someone to go put them out. But if you've been in real estate for a while, you've had to at some point put
Put
them
up
open
signs.
house.
Yeah.
And then I forget one, even though I wrote it down. I was like, did I put one in that corner? And then I'm missing a sign. Somebody got mad, took the sign, threw it on the side, moved it, pointed the wrong direction. I love signs, and I think that's a number one way of getting people to the open house. 100%.
I agree with the signs. Why do you put up so many signs?
Because we need to cover as many different directions so people can come and find us, man. That's what it comes down to.
It's about exposure.
Yeah.
So here's a couple of things that people need to understand about in their marketplace. Statistically, people move within 10 minutes of their home. I'm sorry, within 10 minutes of their family, right? Their friends or their coworkers or their job.
Mm.
So the idea is that if that's a true statistic, that the majority of people move within 10 minutes of their friends, family, or their job, then it's likely that the people in the neighborhood within 10 minutes of the open house are going to know the person that is going to buy that house. And so one of the things that we do is we put up a lot of signs for tons of exposure, and people are missing the cheapest way to get exposure in a neighborhood, which is social media. So what we have is we have agents that are taking the open house, and they're saying, well, give me everybody within a 10-minute radius of this property. Maybe that's 1,000 people. Well, once you have that, and that's very easy with RedX. So the shameless pitch here is, we have the software that helps people do that. Is with GeoLeads, you can say, okay, I have an address, give me the nearest, 1,000 people or 1,200 people. And we can then click of a button, create a custom audience on social media, so that now you can target those people with a very specific video or ad about your open house. And we're not talking about lead generation on social media. That's a different topic. So the cost of exposure is so low on social media still that you can make a video. So here's a couple of tips about that video. You want to make a video with a landmark of the neighborhood so that people doom scrolling on Instagram are going to see something that they recognize and want to pay attention to it because it's relevant to them in their lives, right? So if your open house is if there's a main entranceway or a main intersection or a historic building that everybody passes and knows about, or a park that everybody goes to, or a street name that everybody's going to recognize, something that the full neighborhood is going to do, you want a clip of that in your video. And maybe you stand in front of that with your phone and you say, hey, everybody, we're holding an open house on Saturday, the 20th, whatever. And you just talk about the open house, right? Maybe you don't want to give away everything. You want to give them enough to be interested in what you're trying to do, right? So we would suggest, some sort of landmark or in front of the house, if it's going to be a neighborhood that everybody's going to go, hey, that's my neighborhood, in front of the house, maybe a few still photos, or maybe a very brief, like, let me just walk you through this open house, and you show them a couple of the really cool key features of the house. Check out this master bathroom. You can see this and everything else on Saturday, come and join us. And that's exposure. Well, you can for pennies, you could get 1,000 people to see that video every single day for like less than $5 a day. So those people in that neighborhood targeted to the geographic area are going to see that over and over and over to be able to see that video, and you're getting tons of exposure. You combine that with the signs. Now everybody knows that you have this open house that's going on, and that's how you drive people to the open house. If you want to take it to the next step, is you're marketing to everybody on social media for a couple weeks prior. Then you send a postcard to the nearest 50 people. That's going to cost you less than $50 to send a nice postcard. Upload an image of the house, or that, on one side, and maybe the local landmark that everybody's going to recognize on the other side, with the address really big on the postcard so that people know that it's in my neighborhood, and you're inviting them to the open house. Hopefully you have a QR code that directs them somewhere, a landing page, the listing page somewhere that has to do with that open house. And then if you want to take it to the next step, again, maybe less painful for some, it's less painful for you to do this than set up signs, is call the nearest 100 people to the property where the open is going to be. So if I call all those neighbors, here's a really simple script. Because I'm not soliciting anything, I'm giving you neighborhood information. And I would say, Tristan, this is Curtis with Y Realty, and I'm calling you to let you know that we're having an open house, and I wanted to call and apologize for any extra traffic that may be in the area. And then you're thinking, why is there going to be tons of traffic in the area? Well, because this house is a gem in your neighborhood, right? And then you can proceed with the conversation. I just want to know if I can count on you being there, right? Yeah. And maybe they come, maybe they don't, but statistically, they know the person who's going to buy that house, right? And so what we're trying to do is we're just trying to create exposure and brand and get a lot of people to come through the open house, whether you're holding it for a day or 2 days, to come through, so that you can start to build that database of buyers. Because then when you hold another open house, especially if you're a team and have an open agent, you have a database to invite people to.
Yeah, I love that, man. I'll tell you one thing that we do that works really well along those lines. It's not the phone call, but we do the phone call, and we use RedX, right, to dial the neighbors. One thing that's worked really well is when we know the home is priced well and the seller says, we're ready to go, we say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you okay if we send a quick note by mail to your neighbors just to let them know where you're going, why did you decide to sell, and then invite them to an open house just for the neighbors. So it'll be the first open house, and most people say, yeah, that's actually a great idea. And then some that say, well, why would we want to do that? Say, well, a lot of those neighbors, they're going to want to know they're very nosy and they're wondering why is Joe leaving, or what's happening here, right? And they make up stories. And I would rather clear it all up from the very beginning, invite them to come and take a look at your home, and then maybe they might know somebody that wants to buy your home, because most people are moving within a 20-mile radius from selling to buying their next home. And that's actually reducing now after COVID, right? COVID expanded it. Now everything's going back. And they're like, oh, we'll do that. That's a great idea. So that's one of the things that we've been doing. And dude, it's only like what, 20 neighbors in some cases that they know. Not a lot. So anyway, I love doing that. Curtis, anything else you want to add?
There's tons I could talk about with this. Right now, NAR is reporting, at least last year, only about 3% of buyers found the home that they were going to buy at an open house. But you got to remember that that's close to the number of open houses being held as compared to all the listings, right? And it's still more than most. It's still arguably more than people find through an agent, right? People are finding it online, and in other ways. And so the more open houses, the more that number is going to go up. That's my prediction, is more and more it's going to go up. It's a great way to advertise. It's a great way as consumers start to catch on, and do open houses. They're going to go and do it. So.
Very true. Very true. And for those of you that are wondering, this whole thing is brought to you by RedX. It's redx.com. It's redx.com. I put in the link there. If you have questions for me, I also put my phone number there. That's my cell.
Put in the link that they can get a discount with RedX for lab coat for being on here if you've got it.
Are you sure you want to give a discount to everyone?
Hey man, if they're on trying to learn, we want to give them a discount. And the other thing is, yeah, because what we have is geo leads, which allows you to get access to the neighborhoods. We have the ad builder, which allows people to take those neighbors and then market to those and target market them directly on Facebook and Instagram. And there's always a lot of questions. People, well, we can't do that because we're a special category. You're right. You can't do that inside of Meta. You can't do that on Facebook. You can't do that on Instagram. You can do that through our system. That you can create a Facebook or Instagram video or ad, or even create content and then boost it to the neighbors specific to that open house. Of course, you could do the same with expires or FSBOs or any of the other data that we help agents have access to. So we have the ad builder, and then the dialer, and then the postcards. So we have the whole system to help you market to those open houses. And we've seen already the increase in people working this and driving traffic to an open house. So it's a great way to build your business. It's a great way, if you're a team lead, to be helping the agents who are, they shouldn't be scrambling anymore, but we see it every day online, the conversations about what am I doing? They're trying to get a script right. They're trying to do this, and maybe just hold an open house, start building rapport with people, and then get the buyer's agent's agreements.
That's true. Very true. All right. Here's a special link. So link's not working. Hold on. I'm looking at it right now. I just clicked it. Let me make sure here. This is what it should look like. So that's the same link.
That's the link, because then there's their little lab code agents down there at the bottom.
Yeah. That's the link. I'll drop this in again. We'll try it one more time. Let me know if you're able to open it. If not, just go to RedX, and there's always a phone number right at the top. They love talking to people, and you can ask them for the discount, and they will give it to you there. And worst comes to worst, you can text me. Phone number is right up there. If you scroll up about 4 messages up. Curtis, let me stop sharing. Thanks for doing this. Keep up the great work on being strong. What'd you call it? What's strong? I didn't write
Strong
that
Dad.
piece down. Strong Dad.
Strong Dad.
Strong Dad. Now I'm gonna go on a tangent and rabbit hole.
Yeah,
with
go watch some Homestar Runner. It's classic internet humor.
I saved it, so I'm gonna be watching that. Everybody else, thanks for jumping in. Curtis, RedX, thanks.
Thanks, everybody.